Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Gentlemen, we are just 2 days away from the NFL draft. How are we feeling here? How are we feeling?
Oh, I'm jacked. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Absolutely jacked up. Cannot wait for the draft party.
It's an exciting time, Dex. An exciting time.
I'm looking forward to being back at the Fillmore. Should be an absolute blast. We were through this a few years ago when Kwesi ended up trading back, and we were hanging out for like 5 hours until they made the pick. We'll see what happens on Thursday, but I'm excited for it regardless.
Yeah, now we know. Like now it's going to be like a 2.5 hour wait, and then maybe they'll kick it into the second round. We'll see. But today we've got latest Vikings news, a big batch of some stuff about what people are saying about JJ McCarthy. We did an exercise a couple weeks ago on the show where we tried to figure out how good are the Vikings at drafting over the past 10 years, but we didn't really have the context of like the other 31 teams. Well, The Athletic did an exercise of the last 5 years that we're going to get into here as part of the latest Vikings news. But we start our show at Neos Elite Performance, Judd Zulgad.
Most definitely. And so, guys, you're sitting around right now. You used to be an athlete. You used to be great, right? But the knees break down, the hips go, things start to go. And that's why I want to direct you to my friends at Neos Elite Performance, who can help you with the chronic pain that's slowing you down, who can get you back on track to being the athlete that you were, to feeling great. Why? Because their cutting-edge regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy is designed to get you going again. And here's the most important part, as you can see right there. No invasive procedure, white glove service. In other words, they come to your home. You don't have to go to the doctors. You don't have to go to the hospital. They're going to come to your home, and you are going to feel better. Back pain, knee pain, stop your suffering now. Neos' therapies, they're designed to reduce pain, restore function, and get you back to doing what you love. Pro athletes have used them. They swear by them, and I want you to be next. No surgery, no downtime, just results. Schedule at neoselite.com. Neos, Neos Elite.com. The site has a lot of good information, too, about exactly what they're doing, and it's impressive, neoselite.com.
We also swear by Federated Insurance around here. They've been a supporter of ours for a number of years on Score North and Purple Daily, and they're here to help you business owners out there grow your business through risk management. Federated's corporate culture is grounded in integrity, equity, teamwork, and respect. Those four cornerstones create the foundation that supports all interactions and decision-making. So you know what their ethos are, and they're essentially their business moral compass. Maybe that sounds like a good partnership for you and your business. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com. All right, boys, time for latest Vikings news here. And we start with the first bin is essentially what are people saying about JJ McCarthy? And there's a few things in here. We'll start with this week. Yesterday was the first day all across the NFL of the offseason workout program. So you think football ends in January, February, and then like the old days, they all get fat and out of shape and start smoking cigarettes. And then they show up for 2 days in July, right? No, that's not how it works. So the team can come in. These are all voluntary, right? Like they come in. You can use the weight room.
Yep. Yes.
These aren't organized practices, but
Yes.
you can like play catch with your receivers if you want to. It just can't be Kevin O'Connell diagramming the practice drills.
And I think so. This is actually called phase one. Phase one of the program. Now, not to be confused with phase two, because you get on the field there, you start to do things you can't hit there. But in phase one, weight room work and you can also do classroom work. So like this is where we start just a wee bit of the install. The install starts now, just as far as like getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah. So at the kind of introductory, hey, Kevin O'Connell and some other players were speaking to media. Kevin O'Connell said about JJ McCarthy, quote, "I think he's ready to hit the ground running as of today." So he has been cleared for whatever he's going to be doing in the next 2 or 3 months, full team drills at some point, throwing, running. So he is a full go on schedule is how I interpreted this from Kevin O'Connell. So that's good. I don't think that's anything that's like shocking or unexpected, but it sounds like if there's any questions about health related to knee and recovery time and the second procedure that was a big controversy, it doesn't sound like as of right now, recovery from the knee procedures will be holding JJ McCarthy back.
I feel like this has been pretty consistent with the message since Kwesi talked. It has to be a month and a half ago now. So like once the Rodgers thing sort of felt like it had passed, I feel like there's a very direct, calculated, which is fine. I don't use that term in a bad way, but messaging about the fact that McCarthy is set to go, which I think is probably true because again, yes, he had a second procedure, but it felt like we eventually were like, oh my God, this could set him back. Like, just to go back to this, this happens all the time. Meniscuses, I mean, I'm not saying that they're good, but they're certainly not a death knell. So I totally also buy that the Vikings health-wise think that McCarthy is on the correct track.
Yeah.
Do we feel like, and maybe this is just my PTSD from, certain Twins prospects not living up to expectations or just mostly not staying healthy. I'm not trying to put this out in the ethos, but do we feel like we're all going to be watching like on pins and needles during mini camp and training camp, or is this just, meniscus surgery happened, he's hitting the ground running, all things are our system go here? What is like your nervous factor when you're watching him in practice the first few times?
I feel like I am very qualified because I like to worry. I like to be concerned. I don't like it when people do dumb things that risk problems, injury. The only curiosity I have from like that standpoint is far more about how he performs. Because, he's getting back into the swing of football things, right? But like it's a meniscus. It is an unbelievable, thing that you can recover from now without it being a long-term thing. Because they did the full repair as well, there's actually less of a chance for more problems. If they do the trim and not the full repair, that can actually cause problems down the road as far as, conditions, arthritis, things like that. So Dex, as a guy who loves to be concerned about these things, no, I'm not going to be waiting for the shoe to drop on, oh my God, his leg blew up, it's Teddy 2.0. I'm not really concerned about that personally at all.
Yeah, me too. And, I can't remember if it was a therapist or someone wise. Maybe it was like a book or just some dumb Instagram account that I came across long ago about fretting and anxiousness about the future. Do you want to live it twice? So like the idea that JJ McCarthy could hurt his knee again, if that happens in reality, you as a fan or as a daily Viking show or as JJ himself, but worrying about it in advance of it maybe happening. Yeah. Do you want to live through it twice?
Well,
I'm choosing to not live through it twice. If it happens, it happens. Otherwise, he's full go starting today.
My brain actually operates on being concerned about preventing things. But like if I think it's recovered, which I'm pretty sure in this case it is, but I will say this, my worry, my fretting comes more from, again, people doing things that put them in jeopardy to get hurt. In this case, I feel like McCarthy and the Vikings have done everything possible to solve this problem.
Yeah, he's like in the building every day, and when he's not, he's like helping homeless people. So, he's not riding motorcycles or doing anything,
Exactly.
Okay, I have a clip for you guys here. It's a little over a minute, so strap in here. But Harrison Smith spoke to the media, and I think two parts about this clip. Number one, he's just he's like the Buddha of the Vikings locker room, man. He has a calming presence about him, and he's very thoughtful. And Kevin Seifert asked him about JJ McCarthy here, and you'll pick up the end of Kevin's question. And then you'll hear Harrison Smith, the wise old sage of the Vikings locker room, talk about JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy take on you last year? In what regard?
Well, I mean, mostly off the field.
Yeah.
On the field.
Yeah, he's a guy that I enjoy being around a lot. He's his own person. He's kind of speaks his mind, has his own way of thinking about things. He's very smart, very invested in football and winning and competing. And then football wise, he's tremendously talented. He was doing a lot of good things in training camp last year, in my opinion, as a guy going against him. But just being around him, obviously it's a tough position to be a high pick, and things look like they're going well, and the season's gone. So that's a whole different struggle or whatever it is to overcome those things and be ready for the following year and be ready to go. But he's I've been fortunate to spend some time with him. Got to play some golf with him in Mexico. We had a good time. Hit some great shots. But I enjoy my time with him. He's an interesting fellow, and I think he's a little smarter beyond his years.
An interesting fellow, JJ McCarthy.
Hit some good shots.
He did hit some good shots.
Mm-hmm.
Those were impressive shots. First of all, Harrison Smith. I watched that entire thing. He's phenomenal. Here's why I like him so much. So like he technically, because he's been here a long time, he's an older player now. He could technically fall in the Zolgadian. Yeah, it's time, right? Time to go. But here's why I
can't wait for you to turn on him in week 5.
But here's why it's
going
not.
to be great.
But here's why it's not. You know what I love about that guy? And post game, he's not really. Post game, he's so. But like in an environment like that, he's fantastic. He's clearly very, very intelligent. But what I like about him is, for a professional athlete who's been as successful as that dude has been for as long as he has been, he is genuinely himself. Like, that was him. He doesn't get up there and try and say, I lead this team.
No.
There's no false bravado. There's no athlete, here's what we're going to do. In fact, he talked about that. He's like, well, I tell guys what to do, but I haven't won a Super Bowl. Like, he's just genuinely himself. And so I'm inclined to trust what he says, like that clip, way more than a guy who's like, oh, JJ McCarthy's got all the answers, right? And the thing that I think you keep coming back to when people are asked about, especially teammates McCarthy, is this. And it goes back to that unquantifiable but very real it thing, the it factor. I think the most important phrase that Harrison Smith used was mature beyond his years. And that's that's sort of the quarterback gene that I love. Like, that's what I want. Like, I want a guy, because we could talk all we want about young players, especially very good ones, right? And they're still young. Like Ant. He's still a young guy. He's learning. The reality is this, fair or not, quarterback position doesn't really allow for that. Like, you can't be like, I'm 22, I goofed up, sorry.
Well, yeah. And actually, another thread that Harrison Smith went down, there's a lot of just really good introspective stuff.
It was great.
You mentioned him having the self-awareness as he's talking about being a leader to say, yeah, I have some of the answers, but I've never won a Super Bowl, so I'm mindful of I don't have all the answers. But he also talked about, hey, we got to go now. Not just for me, but like a lot of teams get to the point where they're really, really good, but there's another level you need to get to win a Super Bowl, and they just kind of run it back and let's try again. Yeah, that was great last year. We won 14 games. Let's try again. He says trying again is not good enough. We need to get as a team to the next level. For him, there's more urgency because this is probably the last year of his career, but we've been saying that for 3 or 4 years. And another thing he said yesterday was this was the easiest decision he's had in the last 3 or 4 years since he's been struggling with, do I retire or come back? He said, this is probably the least amount of time I spent thinking about it because it just felt right with Flores and the team that they have.
Right. Didn't you sort of, and I feel like our postseason discussions after the Vikings lost to the Rams reflected this, didn't you sort of feel that, though? Like, I guess I had personally a lot more questions about him coming back for 24 than 25. It just feels like, and I think his position has a lot to do with this. I think if he's a receiver or cornerback, I think he's probably done. But he plays safety, which is a position where guile and experience are incredibly important. I mean, athletic ability is too, but he's so smart. A year ago, I felt like, I don't know he's coming back. This year, I felt like, I think he's going to come back, partially because I do think there's going to be a temptation in his life to come back as long as Flores comes back.
And also, if you project ahead a year from now, as long as that lawsuit is still pending between Brian Flores and the NFL, he might get some little sniffs here and there for head coaching jobs, but he probably should have gotten more run last year in the interview cycle and didn't. There's a better than 50% chance Flores is still the defensive coordinator in 2026. I think there's a really good chance with a first-year starting quarterback that the Vikings are good, competitive playoffs, but not Super Bowl, and that they're building towards something in 2026. And therefore, unless Harrison Smith completely falls off the physical age cliff this year,
right?
I actually think it's fairly likely he plays next year too. I said maybe this feels like his last season, but the more you kind of map out what might happen going into 2026, he might come back again for another year.
I would love to see the Flores contract too, because the Wilfs, my guess is he is rightfully so making a ton. And I got to think with the Dolphins' experience, with the unfortunate truth that a lot of the jobs that come open are not great jobs, and with his family, I think, being happy here, him essentially being head coach defense.
Yeah.
I'll go back to what I said before. I don't know that you jump at like the Jets job. Because you're not.
Nobody should be.
Well, right,
jumping at the Jets
but I mean,
job.
he had personality issues with the Dolphins, but certainly was not a terrible coach. But I think the infrastructure here is so strong. And look, at some point in time, we can joke or not, but this team has built something internally that I think starts with O'Connell that is really attractive to be around. Like there is no expense spared here now, you guys. Like everything, it sounds to me like everything the team wants, the team gets. And that's not true across the entire league. No way.
Yeah. Also, JJ McCarthy related. So Dante Culpepper sat down for an interview with the Viking Age, the vikingage.com here in the last couple days. And I'll just read you a little paragraph here. After McCarthy was drafted by the Vikings last year, he and Culpepper had the chance to meet in person. And the former Vikings quarterback took the opportunity to share some advice with the younger passer. So these are really the only two guys. These guys mirror each other 25 years apart in terms of highly drafted. One guy was 11th overall, right? The other guy was 10th overall. Sat their first year for different reasons. Dante sat behind Jeff George and Randall Cunningham and said he soaked in a ton of things, just how they operate week to week, how they prep, how they practice, everything. McCarthy was forced out. But Culpepper said this about JJ McCarthy. He's very sharp, and I like that about him. I think he's a phenomenal player, and I know he's champing at the bit to get out there and show a lot of the naysayers that they're wrong. I have all the confidence in the world in McCarthy. So he gets the stamp of approval from the closest comp in franchise history. Get your roll on,
Get your
JJ.
roll on, baby.
That's right.
I never understood that.
Love to get the roll on.
What do you mean you don't understand? Get your roll on.
I just always thought it was sort of like weird. Like
Well, it was like a popular song, right? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your roll on.
Oh, I
Hey,
did not know that.
Everybody get your.
Oh, I did not know that. No, I did not know that at the time.
Yeah,
I think
it
it
was
was,
part of his time coming up in the NFL.
I think it was Big Pat or Kevin Williams when he came back. Culpepper at the Raiders was my first ever Vikings game in person, and they sacked Culpepper, and it was a good. They also mocked him, right? Like other opponents like to mock Dante for it, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I still actually do it in my house. Sometimes I'll just be walking down the stairs, and I'll be getting my roll.
That was sort of a sad. That was sort of a sad game. I covered that game.
It was an awesome start. Remember Sidney Rice 50-yard bomb first play of the game?
I'm saying from the Dante perspective. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, he was a shell of himself.
Yeah. No. For the Vikings, it was great. But it was just sort of a sad ending for him because he bounced to Detroit then, right? He bounced around
Raiders,
a little bit.
Detroit,
and
I
think his
Dolphins.
last team was playing for Dennis Green with the Sacramento Lion Kings and like was it the UFL?
Were they the Lion Kings or were they? Hold on.
I thought it was the Lion
The
Kings.
Lion Kings is great.
Mountain Lions. The
Mountain Lions.
Mountain
Lions,
Lions.
Kings.
Yeah.
It's all the
Simbas.
same.
Yeah.
By the way, Judd, for your drive around to the grocery store today, it's the Big Timers with a Y from 2000 is
Okay.
get your roll on.
I completely did not know that went with that. I just thought it was
You
goofy.
you went
Still
25
goofy.
years wondering, what is he doing?
No, I knew what he was doing. I
Get
still
your
don't
roll on.
Yeah, I still didn't like it. I still didn't like it that much. I didn't think. I just thought it didn't look
Whippersnappers?
great. Yeah. You
These young
cared.
kids and their
I was
music.
30 at the time.
These
I'm not.
kids.
I wasn't old enough to be like get off my lawn guy at that time.
What's he talking about? Get what role? What role? I think there's a deeper meaning behind get your roll on. Not sure. You can investigate.
Oh
the lyrics on
yeah.
it.
I'm sure there is. Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah. Okay. QB2 update here. Latest Vikings news.
This is where the intrigue lies for me.
Yeah, two different types of QB2 update. We'll start from inside the house here. Kevin Seifert had these quotes from Kevin O'Connell, and you can find them all over from the press conference. But O'Connell said Monday that, quote, "We've got a pretty detailed plan for how we want to go about adding one or more quarterbacks to the roster. The delay can partially be attributed to the NFL's post-draft deadline for free agents affecting teams' formulas for comp draft picks. If they hold steady right now and don't sign any more free agents until April 28th, then they would get 2, maybe 3 comp picks in 2026. So no reason in the next 6 days to... Now, if you
Just
sign a
freak
player
out.
who was cut, yeah.
God. We
need
got to get
to-
Carson Wentz.
But Kwesi Adofo-Mensah said last week that the formula is not the only factor. Quote from O'Connell, "We've been patient and really evaluated a lot of different ways we could potentially add quarterbacks. There's potential trades and free agency and still the draft. We're going through a process of just figuring out who is the player that we want to solidify that room with, knowing that JJ and Brett Rippon are here working starting today, and eventually we'll complete that room and still have a competitive situation in there, however you look at it." So Monday was the first day of seeing what JJ McCarthy looks like with your own eyes and watching him back in the facility. And then next Monday is the first day where you could sign like Carson. People keep floating these Carson Wentz retirement rumors. There's like one random blog that had him linked to the NDSU quarterback job. He's like 32, 33 years old. First of all, no credible outlets have reported that he's retiring. Secondly, if someone offers him like $3 million to be a clipboard holder in the NFL,
Yeah.
I think you take the $3 million. I'm pretty sure that
Yeah,
pays
I'm not
more than the
afraid.
NDSU quarterbacks coach job.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about this. I'm not concerned about this. I also think so. I'm calling BS on the backup job from the draft clearly, because I'm not saying that you wouldn't trade to get more picks and maybe take one, but I don't think that that's your backup. Okay, so let's go through this. I don't think the free agent class is where they're going to get their guy, because if they really liked a guy, I think they would have signed him and forfeited potentially the comp pick. I'm talking about really liked a guy. Like this team, I keep coming back to this on especially the quarterback position. They've got a plan. Like they've got a plan. And plan one we know was Daniel Jones comes back. Okay. Daniel Jones went to the Colts. But I'm still going with trade. I'm going with trade because the one thing on the comp pick is, while it makes perfect sense now, and they've done a very good job of allowing those comp picks to accrue, Phil, the one thing that I think we can say definitively as well, though, is if Kevin O'Connell loved like Joe Flacco, like I got to have Joe Flacco, which he clearly, according to Doogie's reporting, did not. I don't know that they would have let the comp pick stand in the way as Flacco's about to put pen to paper in Cleveland.
Yeah,
I think it's a trade.
I agree. And Seifert mentions in his piece the same list of guys that we had speculated on, I think it was last week in this same episode. Sam Howell, now that he's been bumped to QB3 with Drew Lock going to Seattle. So he's 24 years old, 1 year left on the rookie contract. Those are those guys with 1 or 2 years left on a rookie deal. Aiden O'Connell's another one, who maybe are former starters who've been blocked looking for another avenue somewhere else. Now, of course, you're not. O'Connell says we're looking to make it a competitive situation. Kind of. You're not bringing in Sam Howell and telling him, okay, dude, this job is yours if you play well in training camp.
Right.
You are the backup to JJ McCarthy, but you're probably not going to tell. You want JJ to feel like he's got to beat someone out in training camp for sure. Mm-hmm. But Adam Schefter came in with a really interesting nugget. Also, I think it was Sunday, maybe Monday. he did his full 5,000 word dump of pre-draft information that he's gleaning from all the different teams on ESPN.com. And he said the Falcons have asked for any acquiring team regarding Kirk Cousins to pay $20 million of the $45 million worth of guarantees left on his contract. So, hey, can you pick up about half of the tab on Cousins' remaining guarantees? To date, nobody has been willing to do that, and no team is expected to be willing to say, here's $20 million for Kirk Cousins. However, there is a feeling around the league that a team, whether it's the Vikings or Steelers, might be willing to pay down roughly $10 million of the $45 million. How much any team would be willing to pay also would influence the compensation it gives up. Now, I would argue if you pay $15 or $20 million of the freight there, then they should be giving the Vikings compensation in addition to Cousins. So we'll take a guy off your hands that doesn't want to be there, that you have alienated and pulled the plug on, and also has a full no trade clause and can completely dictate this entire arrangement. We'll take on $15 to $20 million. You kick in a day 2 draft pick, and then Kirk becomes the backup. He'd have to, by the way, he wouldn't agree to this plan unless, like for the Vikings anyways, unless it was, hey, QB2 is likely where you land here. Steelers might be willing to give him the QB1 slot because they're still looking for a starter at this point. But the fact that Schefter specifically mentioned Vikings or Steelers, he's very calculated. He doesn't just throw names of teams out there.
Right. And if he had just thrown out the Steelers, I would say, okay, he's connecting dots, right? Like they don't really have a quarterback. But the fact that he threw out the Vikings, who do have a quarterback, and for the last month now, I've made it very clear that they have a QB, I think is far from an accident. It's far from, in our world, reckless speculation. So I guess what you need to decide is, what Kirk does is, would you be willing to be QB2? Hey, we want you to compete. Like you can come in and compete, but at the end of the day, JJ McCarthy, if he plays well, is going to start. The other question with Kirk that I would like to know is, how shell-shocked is he by the season with the Falcons based on how it played out, like mentally? Because like he went there to be QB1, and they were going to the draft to get a defensive tackle and get that defensive line set up or a defensive end, and they draft a quarterback.
No.
He doesn't play awful, but he doesn't play great. He's still clearly not himself because of the Achilles. He's replaced just bang like that, which, once they took Penix at 8 was not a complete shock. But because, my feeling about Kirk is, hold on a second here. Kirk's not going to come back to be QB2. That's not how Kirk operates. But I also know that I think Kirk is a very sensitive dude. And I wonder if he feels like, okay, it's not ideal, but I'd be going back to a place I know my family likes. There's a coach there I trust. So, like, he's not going to screw me. I might not get the job, but he's not going to screw me. But, I mean, I do wonder if we are dealing with a different Kirk Cousins that could be coming back than the one who walked out the door.
Yeah, the question for him is, once you sort of commit to that QB2 role, he might not step on the field this year. Are you okay with that? If JJ hits the ground running, no injury, performance is awesome, and now all of a sudden, the last 2, as you get further into your 30s, the last 2 seasons, you're going to be remembered for losing your starting job and then sitting and holding a clipboard. Now your chances to continue to make $45 million a year are pretty much gone at that point. So it would have to be a big commitment for him, because there are teams that, like the Browns, the Steelers, that would give him a starting job right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to move your family there? Or is it going to be a total train wreck disaster because DK Metcalf and George Pickens are going to be yelling at you in either ear hole for 3 hours every Sunday?
And that's my point, though. He's probably shell-shocked as well. Like a year ago, he probably goes to Pittsburgh and says, screw it, pay me and I'll play. But now he's been benched. He's been embarrassed. Like, he is a sensitive dude. Yeah. The only thing is the Vikings would have to get a commitment that if he is committed to potentially being QB2, that this isn't a passing fancy and now he's like halfway through. I can, So like that's my question is where is Kirk at in his current headspace? And if he commits to this, can he remain there?
Yeah. Yep. So again, Schefter mentioned Vikings specifically, which is it's a calculated move by him. So real quick, I told you guys we were going to give you a recent history of the Vikings as drafters compared to the rest of the league. Let's move that to a Purple Daily NFL Takes today. So we'll do a little dive into that. It's draft week, and we've got a Purple Daily NFL Takes episode coming out today.
Audible.
It got bumped.
We're checking at the line here. Yeah.
Kill.
Because Dex is going to deliver his hottest Vikings take here in a moment. And remember, in 2 days, the 2025 Purple Daily Draft Party, presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, is happening at the Fillmore in Minneapolis. This is our most fun event of the year. We're super excited to hang out with as many of you as possible. I am told there are 5 VIP tickets left. That's it. 5 VIP tickets left. First come, first served on those. scorenorth.com/draft. There's also some GA tickets left, general admission. But come join hundreds of fellow fans of this football team and podcast listeners here. VIP tickets include a meet and greet with the show beforehand. Doors open at 5:30 for general admission. 7 o'clock we go live. 5 o'clock doors open for VIP. And across the street at Brixworth, it's the pre-party at 3:30. But a shout out to all of our partners that make this event possible. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, 2 Men in a Junk Truck, Roku, Element, scorenorth.com/element for a 15% room rate discount at Element Hotel on the Brixworth front. So yeah, 3:30 to 5 o'clock is the pre-party. And when you stop into Brixworth and mention that you're there for the Purple Daily Draft Party, you get a custom pint glass. There's $4 Kill the Keg special beer for the Purple Daily Draft Party pregame as well. And Vikings legend Chuck Foreman is going to be in the house. Nice. You can also win tickets to the event in the event that these are sold out too. So come hang out with us at Brixworth across the street from the Fillmore from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. And the upcoming Hot Vikings Take is presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, Dex.
Yeah, so Standard Heating has their Smart Club, which is something I'm a part of. So it gives you priority booking. It gives you discount on repairs. As I'm moving into the new house, I got to make sure that AC that's over 20 plus years old is working properly. And luckily, because I'm part of the Smart Club, I can get the priority to get that checked out and get that looked at. Don't wait for that thing to get on the fritz. As the weather is now warm, it's 60 degrees. It's only going to hopefully get warmer here in the Twin Cities going forward. Go to standardheating.com to join that Smart Club. Tell them Purple Daily sent you, and shout out to them for being our presenting sponsor of the Purple Daily Draft Party. All right, so here's my hottest take. There's been a lot discussed, obviously, on the Vikings free agency class, and it was a great run in free agency, right? You built up your trenches on both sides of the ball. You got Brian Flores coming back. A lot of good things. You got a head coach that has taken 2 quarterbacks to 13 and 14 win seasons who are not considered elite or top 10 guys. So here's my hottest take, though, as it relates to the draft that's coming up. If the Vikings want to be Super Bowl contenders, this draft class, the 2025 draft class, has to contribute immediately. This is not a long play. When you look at some of the other teams, now like the Eagles and the Lions, who have been very good at drafting over the last few years, right? They've had draft classes that have contributed immediately and right away. And I feel like it's not as the top of the mind of, oh, well, you know, they got Ryan Kelly and they've been able to booster their defensive line, which is all good things. I'm glad they did that. But when you look at the Lions, who have been to the Final Four the last 2 years, when you look at the Eagles, who went to the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years, if you don't have, and hopefully JJ McCarthy is elite, if you don't have a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady coming in to help out Tampa Bay, you have to be very good at drafting. And I envision that hopefully Dallas Turner and JJ McCarthy are obviously studs for the Vikings after not being able to play in 2024, or in Dallas Turner's case, wasn't able to play that much. But this draft class, in my opinion, can't just be a long-haul developing draft. This draft class, even with limited picks, has to help the Vikings contribute to a Super Bowl right away. That's my hottest take.
Well, if you consider the 14 wins last year, the upgrade to the offensive line, the upgrade to the defensive line, we'll see about secondary. There might be another move here in the next week or so. But and some people might be projecting a downtick in quarterback production, which is crazy because a year ago, if you would have said, hey, so you're going to get a season of Darnold, and then McCarthy might be worse than Darnold, you'd be like, oh God, that's bad, right? But Darnold received MVP votes. What if, to Dex's point, what if to the upgrades you've already, and let's say McCarthy is a slight tick below Sam Darnold. What if you add Dallas Turner breakout season and then first round pick, whatever that position is, starting left guard, completely fortifies your offensive line? It's very possible that Dallas Turner plus your first round pick, both having big seasons, year 2 for Turner, year 1 for whoever they draft, those two guys could help push you even further up to that top echelon of the NFL. Yeah. But if you don't get those guys, are you really going to be in the mix actually hunting Super Bowl in 2025? So yeah, I don't even think it's that hot of a take. Like they do probably need Dallas Turner plus a first round pick to be awesome to get to that Super Bowl level.
I would love to see the first, at the current rate with 4 picks, I'd love to see the first and third round pick contribute immediately. 5th round picks, I'm fine. Like maybe, but I don't think it's too much to ask at all for the first round pick to be a player who plays a lot. And that goes back to the two things that we talked about. I think it was on the Monday show, which is guard, where a guy could step in and play and start immediately at left guard, or defensive tackle, where you're going to rotate. And you did get two good players in free agency, but the reality is they're not young and they were both hurt. So like you're going to have a rotational there. The question is, who is it? And so I would like to see, so this would be this is Kwesi's 4th draft. And this would be the second time potentially that you would have a first round pick step in and contribute. And by the way, I don't think that's a ton to ask. Like the whole first round, you've got guys on the back end of the first round who have contributed to teams like the Chiefs. So it's not like, oh my God, but it's the 30th pick or something like that. So yeah, I think it's a very fair take. Again, the 5th round picks, I don't know, but first and third and the first round pick for sure. Yes, I think that's an incredibly fair take as well.
Yeah, and we'll go further in depth on this list from The Athletic on our Purple Daily NFL Takes episode, but I'll give you one spoiler. The number 1 drafting team over the last 5 years, and they're looking at, so they're only taking your top 50 pick select, so if you basically like first 2 rounds. The Detroit Lions have made 12 picks in the top 50 in the past 5 years. 13 Pro Bowls, 35 starting seasons out of their past 5 drafts. They've landed Penei Sewell, who might be the best offensive lineman in the NFL. He's top 5 for sure. Amon-Ra St. Brown was, I don't understand their formula because he was actually outside the top 50.
But Brad Holmes is really good.
Their top 50 picks, not top 50 like second round is what I guess.
But Brad Holmes there has changed everything.
Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta.
And don't forget, I believe they had 2 first round picks in the Gibbs draft, and they took a linebacker and a running back, and we're all like, you did? Like, that's sort of weird. And it's worked out. So yes, Detroit's done a great job. But if the Vikings could get, so if the Vikings first round pick contributes immediately, that is Turner then from last year's draft, who played but certainly didn't start. That's McCarthy, who didn't play because of injury, and another first round pick. And yeah, that's how you win. And I was going to unleash this as well on our takes episode, but I'll throw this out in the ether right now too. Don't forget, the Vikings are very willing to spend on priority undrafted free agents. And so when you look at the 4 picks, let's say it goes up to 5 or 6, but this team, 1, spends once the draft is done. 2, they have found guys. Ivan Pace, a great example right now. And 3, if you look at this class has a ton of guys who ordinarily would be drafted, but won't be because it's a COVID draft.
Yeah, it's like players that got the extra season that ordinarily would have come off the board a year ago.
But that's going to X them out of being like 6th round picks.
Yeah.
7th round picks. So if the Vikings continue along the lines that they have been formula-wise, and they spend a lot of money, if you let's say you nab two UDFAs, let's say you sign 17 and nab 2 that contribute. They're draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So there is certainly a way, despite the lack of picks right now, there is certainly a way to accrue talent and to build your roster out that goes beyond the 7 rounds of the draft.
By the way, I just saw this here too from The Athletic. I think we missed this a few days ago, but Dane Brugler, another very notable mock drafter.
Dane.
He did his full 7-rounder. This is like the new trend, I feel like, that these mock drafters are pushing each other, whether it's the Thor 500, which isn't a mock draft. It's like twice as many players as get drafted, and he ranks them and puts comps.
Craziness.
But it's almost like you're not a real mocker if you don't do a full 7-round mock.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the 7-round mock used to be, we saw them, but I felt like we didn't.
It was the fringes of the mockosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was sort of the
mock extremism.
And yeah, because it was sort of the pretenders. Like, I feel like the real mockers mocked the 7-round guys, and now the real mockers are doing the 7 rounds.
Yeah, now look at you. Yeah, you're trying to figure out who the 241st pick is.
The extremists of the mockers. They live in sheds in the woods. They can't find them ever.
That's right. No running water. They have to kill their food. So he's got the Titans taking Cam Ward, number 1, Travis Hunter, 2, Abdul Carter, 3, which is becoming the chalk at this point. Those 3 guys in order. Will Campbell, 4. Ashton Genty to the Jags at 5. That would be the highest a running back has been drafted in almost a decade. Let's see here. I don't know if he has any trades or not. Let's just scroll down to 24. Yeah, where the Vikings are on the clock. And they take cornerback from Texas, Jade Barron. Okay. Let's get a move on here. Let's go down to
3rd round.
97.
Yep.
Wait, is he? Okay. He's highlighting some of the players with write-ups here. So he's got the Vikings taking Georgia guard Dylan Fairchild.
Is that the guy that Thor saw in the TGI Fridays?
It's one. Yeah, he saw a bunch of Georgia guards. It was like 2 Georgia guards or a center.
I forget. Wait, what was it? TGI Fridays or Ruby Tuesdays?
Now Ruby Tuesdays has that salad bar.
I was going to say killer. I think the one in Rosedale closed. I love that. I love that.
It closed around COVID because people were worried about, as they maybe even should be post-COVID, like breathing on the food and stuff. But that's why they put the glass.
A good salad bar, by the way, absolutely one of my favorite things.
Agree. People mock salad bars.
Why?
Don't mock the salad bar.
I get salad bar at work a lot. They had a steak chicken Caesar salad was the main lunch yesterday. You guys missed out. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Steak Caesar?
Steak Caesar salad.
Oh,
awesome.
Sounds good. I mean, I didn't really miss out too much because I stayed home and I was happy. But yeah, that's
because Judd hasn't seen the light of day in 4 years.
You know how bad 94 is? It would take me 3 days to get to work now.
There's other ways. You could get off and take like East Hennepin or something. You know? That's a good, nice scenic route. At the 139 here, he's got the Vikings taking defensive tackle from Georgia, Warren Brinson.
Okay.
And then with the 187, it's Texas running back Jaden Blue. So there's your mock from Dane Brugler. I have one more piece of Vikings news for you guys here that's kind of sneaky. It's an interesting little, like, they announced their coaching staff yesterday, and there's an interesting nugget here, and KOC commented on it. A quick shout out to Roku TV. You'll see here. Look at this. This is a brand new Roku TV right here behind me.
Beautiful.
Just put that thing up 2 days ago, and it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got the Sports Zone tab where you can customize by favoriting and following the teams that you enjoy watching or adjacent programming related to those teams. Perfect for the chaos of spring sports season because they help you organize what's on and what platform. It's kind of confusing to watch sports in 2025. Roku TV helps eliminate that confusion. Go to Roku.com to learn more about these gorgeous TVs or shop at a retailer near you. And also, it is riding season. Today in the Twin Cities, it's going to be like 68 degrees and sunny. So for all you Ragnars out there, whether it's motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, all the top brands at DennisKirk.com with over 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories for whatever it is that you ride. And by the way, it's not just Harley Davidson. A lot of these places are, it's just Harleys that they supply for. Parts for over 20 different makes of motorcycles. So whatever it is you ride, DennisKirk.com has you covered. Same-day shipping when you place an order by 6 p.m. Central Time. Go to DennisKirk.com. So the Vikings announced their 2025 coaching staff, and nothing like super groundbreaking, but here's a key note. The Vikings are moving assistant inside linebackers coach Thad Bogardus to outside linebackers coach. Last year, assistant head coach Mike Pettin had overseen that position since Mike Smith left during training camp in 2023. So it was like a year and a half, basically, of Mike Pettin kind of double dutying his assistant head coach job with this position group. So now that the Vikings have moved Bogardus over to outside linebacker, this move frees up Mike Pettin, who's the former Browns head coach, actually gave Kevin O'Connell his first ever assistant coaching job back in the day. He now gets to go back to fulfilling his original job description as assistant head coach. KOC said, quote, "We really saw him being truly an extension to help me. I get pulled in a lot of different directions, so to have a defensive perspective in the offensive meeting room, much like we have a former NFL quarterback in the defensive room in Charlie Frye, kind of the way Brian Flores and I have imagined our coaching staffs." This might be a little thing, but having Mike Pettin freed up to just be more of a sidekick to Kevin O'Connell, that defensive mind, could be important.
This was the goal. O'Connell's right in 2022, and then I don't know what occurred, but in training camp, I think it was a 22. Mike Smith, who was I think the outside linebackers / pass rush coach, took a leave, and he didn't come back, and so Pettin got thrown in the mix at that point in time. But yeah, the goal was always for this to be the equivalent of a baseball bench coach.
Yeah.
So like I could just bounce things off you, or you can help me with decisions. So that was the goal. But then some coaches would leave, and then Pettin, because he's good, so he's able defensively to step in a lot of places. So yes, this makes sense. Here's my question: better former National Football League quarterback, Charlie Frye or Kevin O'Connell? Who's the better? If you have to, you can only take one of those two.
Can I look up Charlie Frye's career here real quick?
Akron is right.
He was Was he Browns too?
Browns. Yeah. Akron, is that the right school?
Yeah. Yep. Wow, dude. He was a third round pick out of Akron. Yeah. 6'4", 220.
They're both third round picks. I didn't know that.
Well, obviously Charlie Frye got more run in the NFL.
Yep.
But it was a disaster.
Well, there you go.
But he's helping in the coaches' meetings.
Okay,
so
hot shot.
Some guys are born to coach. Some guys are born to play.
But one game, you can only pick one of those two. Who you picking?
Like right now, right?
Yeah,
so Charlie Frye is 43. It's KOC. We're the same age
Almost 40.
by 5 days. So it's going to be 40.
39.
I'll take the younger, more spry 39-year-old Kevin O'Connell.
Okay.
One game, 2025. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious what the vibe is there too, because I think O'Connell likes to bust chops as well. There might be some good smack talking.
Frye racked up 215 rushing yards in 2006.
Yeah.
3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty mobile guy. Okay.
Definitely.
All right, boys. There's your latest Vikings news. A hot Vikings take in there. And tomorrow it'll be our final round of Write That Down predictions before the draft takes place on Thursday. We have a Thursday extravaganza the morning of the draft. And we will be live also for those of you that can't be in attendance at the Fillmore on Thursday night. We'll be live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel starting at 7 o'clock for the long haul that night. If they make that pick, we'll be there. If they trade back, we'll be there. We'll turn it into event line if they trade out. But join us however you can, either in person at the Fillmore or on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. For the Sports Dad, for Producer Dex, I'm Phil. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.